Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and tonight I'm joined by Dayna.
Hello.
We're back bringing you some more Dawson's Creek Season 3. Tonight we're discussing episodes 13 and 14. So I'll roll the credits and we'll get right into it. I can't believe we're like more than halfway through the season already.
They're cooking. I'll tell you what, they are cooking.
So these two episodes felt like filler episodes, but they were like little nuggets kind of pushing the main arc forward.
Yeah.
The first episode is titled Northern Lights.
Mhm.
And PC is freaking out about the opening of the play that he kind of bartered to do and get a C
For
in his English class.
a C, though. That's a
Yeah.
lot of work for just a C. I feel like you should at least get a B. B minus.
And he's going on and on about how he's gonna make a fool of himself, and he's surprised that Joey's not gonna be there for opening night, and a little sad, I think.
Is that whole monologue, man, I'll just tell you what, Joshua Jackson, good on you, brother, because he a mile a minute. Like literally, how many words could he just utter? Those lines must have been insane to try to
When he
mess
said
up.
college boy and he was going on and on and on,
Just
he was like, I tell you what, he just wants to get he just wants to get into the Potter Pantalones.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like he had so many quips and like singers just layered in that whole dialogue that you were like, and he's worried about acting, right? He's
Yeah.
just firing it off, right? Oh man, I felt so bad for him because it felt very obvious that he's like, Joey, hey Joey, 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 Joey.
Yeah. Apparently she's been helping him like rehearse his lines. And he's like, yeah, I know them when I'm like rehearsing them with you, but not like in front of like on stage in front of everybody.
Oh god, it's just so. Doesn't it make you cringe? Not like it's like cringe in a good way. I don't know how to explain it. It's just so cute. Like
Mhm.
you could feel like the I don't know. He was just oozing like again, like I was saying, hey Joey, Joey, do you see this cool thing I did? And Joey, Joey,
Yeah.
oh Joey, can you come to the hey Joey, Joey? Just like dude, like and the fact that she doesn't like pick up on any of it too is
Yeah.
just makes it even better. She's just like throwing him to the wolves, the whole combo.
Dawson drops out of film class.
I
Nikki's not happy about this.
know. Okay, so when I saw that scene, I was like, did I miss something? Like I
Mhm.
know he went like on a little like tiff with taking stuff off of his room. But like I were we supposed to find out then? Or was it I didn't miss something, all right?
No, I think we just found that then.
Just right then. Okay.
Because I think last time we saw, he was just like laying in his room with that Imagine poster, just like
Yeah,
contemplating what his next step is gonna be.
exactly.
So
And I
I
never
guess
would
this is next step.
really was like on the like I didn't see that coming. I was just like, oh, the drama queen.
Such a drama queen, because it's like because he mentions how like I was in your room and you had all these things that weren't about movies, so like I have to find out what I like, and it almost felt like he was like, so tell me what I like so that I could put it on
Yeah,
my wall.
yeah, right. Like you like stuff. Tell me what that stuff is. I will do that as well.
Yeah, and that'll be my new personality.
Yeah, he's just like I am an empty vessel. I need someone to fill me up, please. Give me the stuff. Oh, he's such an emotional vampire, Dawson. He literally sucks the joy out of everything. Yeah.
I also almost felt like there was a turn in tone with like the other characters. I feel like the peripheral characters that are not Dawson, well, not even peripheral, like Joey, Pacey, I feel like they're getting more to do and they're kind of shining and outshining him, and they're
Yes.
taking over his show.
Yeah,
It's
agreed.
not Dawson's Creek anymore.
I'm
It's
okay with it. Like, fine. Dawson who? Wasn't this Creek? The Creek? Creek Salad? That's what we call it now? That's fine. I mean, like, we'll just pretend like Dawson was a person that is like is an old like a historical figure.
right. And I remember thinking at the end, I was like, what did Dawson do this episode? I guess he was like helping out with the show, with the play, and I'm
I
like, did he think maybe the play was his new personality, so he was gonna dip into that? Like
no, I think it mostly was kinda hovered around, like, just him not going to film class anymore, which is kinda like, is that really the biggest deal under the sun? It felt like it and also the way Joey kept reacting about, like, just Dawson and also in, like, the next episode, like,
Mhm.
it always felt overblown. Like, why are you so concerned about him dropping? It's because you know he's spiraling. Really? Dropping out of one class? He can easily pick up again at any time, is
Yeah.
spiraling. He's the and Dawson didn't well, I don't know, James Vanderbeek never played it like he was actually spiraling. He felt like he was just like, "Hey, I'm Dawson."
Yeah.
You know? Like
Um, the overdramatic theater teacher director is possibly has kidney stones, so he hands over the director's folder to Andy and tells her it's her time to shine.
that's right, it
And he's
is.
like, "Let's admit it, it's been your show all along." I'm like, "Oh, so we're acknowledging that she's had good ideas and she's been contributing in a positive way to the."
Oh, yeah. I thought, like, her being in it was, like, perfect, like, she needed an outlet
Mhm.
desperately. She needed something to put all of her stuff into, otherwise she was gonna go crazy again. Um, but, yes, I when I saw that happen, I was like, "Yeah, Andy, this is your time to shine. Get it, girl." Mm,
Her and Pacey being involved in this play together feels like the writers trying to get them right again, like, just, like, trying to get them back to,
yeah,
like, not hating each other
yeah,
and being able to, like, be friends.
yeah. Putting him in proximity. It's all about the
Yeah.
proximity. Like, whenever, like, you start to see people around each other, you kinda, like, are forced to find a commonality that where you
Mhm.
can coexist. And when you get to that point, it kind of feels like everything else melts away a little bit. Like if I can get to a place where I can be in the same room with you, then I can move on from, other stuff. Will I ever like, I don't know. I mean, like they kind of seemed like Andy wasn't trying to hold any grudge, even though she shouldn't have.
Uh-huh.
But I think this thing with Joey is kind of helping pacing not even think about Andy as like a romantic partner anymore, which is what really keeps everybody going most of
So Joey's getting ready for the date, and it's also the opening night of the play, and Pacey
the
shows up, I guess, in one last ditch effort to get her to come.
time.
And when Bessie was helping her get ready for the date, and she had like the eyelash clip
Mm-hmm.
thing, I don't know what it's called,
Irish curler.
the curler. She was like, "Get out of here with that medieval torture device."
Yeah, that was so cute. Like her helping her sister get ready and everything, and
And then there's a knock at the bedroom door, and Bessie opens it, and she's like, "There's a boy, but it's not the one you
oh,
think." And it was Pacey. I loved how he like pushed her by her head out the door so that he could go at Joey one more time.
it's literally like they are dragging my band Pacey through the mud in these episodes. They're literally just like, how much can we like push his face in it? You know? Like I think it
If
happens like
anyone's spiraling, it's him at the thought of Joey being on a date with another guy.
exactly. Like, the way he reacts to, like, her going on the date in the first place and then rebuffing him about, like, going to the thing, like and on the second time, it's even more desperate. Like, he's even more, like, just trying to desperately convince her that he's, like, this amoral like, is it like, amoral guy that just is never gonna, like her. He just wants to, get into her pantalones.
He's basically acting like everything he told Dawson to stop acting like anytime a guy tries to talk to Joey.
Exactly, exactly. You're
He
right.
he
That is
he
so
yeah.
true. That is so true. It's just he's again, it's like projection. It's just
Mhm.
projection on like another level. And again, speaking 1,000 miles an hour. Like the minute like he's there, he just can't stop talking, and Joey can barely get a word in. But then she also just goes, no. She shuts it down like immediately. Like I'm going on this date. You'll be
Yeah.
fine. I
Well,
will.
she, like,
Bye.
because 'cause they're not in the same headspace like, she's like, "This is my," like, she's looking at Pacey as a friend.
Yeah.
So she's just very, like, matter of fact about everything, and he's like, "Bah."
It's soul crushing. It's like she's
She's
unintentionally
like, "I'll be
cracking
there
him
tomorrow,
apart.
don't worry, it's not the end of the world," and he's just like, "No, you have to come tonight, tonight."
He's like every single time it's just like another stab in the heart and another stab in the heart and another stab in the heart. Like, he's never like never gonna get like her to like see him in that way or like that's the whole thing. But that's what makes it kind of awesome and it makes me kind of root for them because it's like, oh, maybe there'll be a chance or like finally give up and then she'll see.
Um, Jen okay, so I almost mixed it up. So Jen is trying to get to Henry because they have a date, and he's, like, avoiding her. He's, like, literally running out the door away from her because he
Yeah,
doesn't wanna give her the chance to cancel the date.
that's right. That's right.
So he, like, runs out the door, and she, like, cuts him off by going out the other door, and she's like, "Why are you avoiding me?" And he's like, "You're not canceling our date." And she's like, "I'm not." He's like, "You're not?" And she's like, "No, I'm just postponing." And he's like, "Nope, nope." He doesn't wanna hear it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So then
She's
she
too
says that
much.
she kinda wants to be there for Pacey for opening night. So then he's like, "Okay, I'll go with you, if that's okay." Like, he, like, invites himself, and then he takes a step back, and he's like, "Do you want me to be there?" Like, and she's like, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah. Oh.
Um, he's so cute.
I know, it's just so adorable the way he acts, like, it's so sincere. Like, it's just kind of like he's literally speaking, like, all the way from here, but at the same time, because he's only speaking from here, there is nothing going on up here either, you know? Like, he's, again, just nothing going on up here. No one's home. He's just doing.
So
Why?
they agree to meet there, but he thought there's a confusion about where they were meeting. Jen got the seats, but when he gets there, Grams is there, and then even Grams is like, "Oh, I could go, like, if you guys wanna have, like, alone time," like,
Yeah.
and Jen's like, "Shut up, I need you to be a cockblocker."
Oh,
Like, and she
poor
doesn't even sit next to him, she literally puts Grams in between them.
Poor Jen. She's so scared. You could just see it in Jen's face. Like she like wants this, but is too scared to literally take it. She can't accept the love. It's
Mhm.
not in her to do it. And I get that. It's hard. Anytime everyone has ever complimented me, I was like, shut up. Don't say nice things to me. I can't handle it.
So Pacey, shows up to the play, but he's MIA, he's, like, in the gym playing basketball. He's
Mhm,
got his chops on for his
mhm,
character.
mhm, mhm.
Andy had already, like, sent the, what do they call them? The stand-in.
Yeah,
But she's like, "I want you to go out there." And he's like, "I don't know my lines." She's like, "Listen," she's like, "I've given up all hope that you're ever gonna know them word for word. Just improvise." She's like, "Just get
right,
the gist out."
right. That's what I mean, like, Andy is, like, focused in a way that I feel like it kind of breaks that pattern of, the hatred of after a breakup, like,
Uh-huh.
that moment to, like, where you're just like, "I'm too busy to dealing with this, and I need you to be somewhere else." You know what I mean? Like, doing something in that managerial state of mind, like, "I need to get things done, you're here to do that thing, get it done," kinda thing. And, I love that moment where she, like, literally just literally puts the thing in his hands, the briefcase in his hands, and shoves his ass right out onto the stage. It is wonderful.
So, at the after party, everybody shows up, and Jen goes over because she sees Pacey sitting by himself at the bar,
Mhm.
and she, like, sits with him, tells him how great he did, how everybody showed up, and he's like, "Yeah, almost everybody," and she's like, going off of everybody that was there, and then they get to Joey, and she realizes why he's so down in the dumps is because Joey's not there. I like that. I was like, "Ooh, I like that they're continuing their, like, friendship even though they're not having sex, their
Yeah.
failed sexual encounters."
Well, they never had any sexual chemistry to begin with. Like, they kinda
Yeah,
like, it was never there, so it feels easy to just whoop right back into it.
but I feel like in season 1 and 2, we never had scenes like this with those 2,
Yeah.
and now I'm like, "We're everybody's friends, let's all hug, I love it."
Real friends. friends.
Um, and I don't remember how they worded it, but they said she, and Joey showed up, and she's like, "Who's she?"
Mhm.
Or her, like some kind of feminine pronoun.
Yeah, yep.
And I don't know how they get out of it, but Joey hangs out for a little bit. He notices that her lipstick is smudged, so she must have kissed the guy. Did they kiss on screen? Because I don't remember seeing
They
it. I don't know if I looked down. They
they
did.
did.
They
He
did.
kind of, like, did that it was kind of shot it wasn't shot, like, so you could see both their faces, more like he leaned in.
Oh,
She kind of, it's like a moment of where she was gonna kiss him back, and then halfway or at one point or another, she kinda, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think it was like she kinda let him kiss her, and then she pulled away.
Okay.
But
I must have turned my
definitely
head and missed it because I'm
yeah,
like,
it was so short.
I was like, "This is such a non-relationship." I was like, "They couldn't even be bothered to show the kiss."
Yeah, well, I mean, like, she even says it too because of the way she was reacting about it, and, like, also when she explains ultimately to him about, like, why she did pull away, and he's like, it was just a kiss."
Also, AJ is the most boring character ever. Like, he has no personality. He doesn't pop at all. Like, I'm like, "He sucks."
He's he's one of those smarty, smarty, smart
But
pants,
it doesn't matter. I like smart people. I'm like, he just has no personality.
well, no, it was kinda like, they're the kind of smart where they're awkward, like, everything feels awkward, like, every time they bring up something when they attempt to be charming, it
Mhm.
sounds incredibly forced and not natural. Um, he's like a ton of people I know, I've met tons of people like him, but
Um,
he was way cooler when he was in college. Who what happened to that
mm,
guy? Eh.
slightly, and even then, maybe because I knew what was coming, I was just kinda like, AJ."
But yeah, I felt like he was way more smooth and way more kind of like
Cocky even.
cool, yeah, and, like, in at college, but for some reason on a date, again, like, there's different stakes. It's like when you put that moniker, like, "We're going on a date," it's the same thing that Jen was struggling with. Like, it's just, it's not something that, like, you really want to, like, admit in a certain way, and because it creates a high standard that you have to live up to.
He, like, had mead, and Joey went to go drink it, and he, like, poured it out. He's like, "There's alcohol in that." And I was like, "Ugh, shut up."
Well, that's another thing too, is that, like, the same line is like, oh, like, being shocked about her immaturity around the relationships, like, bitch, she's a 16-year-old girl. She don't know what the fuck
We did
she's
get an
doing.
age. We found out he's 19, so
Yeah,
we did get an
so
age on him.
that's still pretty that's still pretty far away. If I was a 16-year-old and I know my dad would be like, "Excuse me? You are not dating a 19-year-old. That's way too old." Like,
I
3
could see
years.
myself being like, "He's basically a senior."
Yeah,
Like
no, he's beyond a senior, like, if you my dad heard that he was in college, he'd be like, I'll shoot that man dead." And I'd be like, "Okay." But yeah, so it's just one of those things where it's kinda like,
Joey
duh.
said had a line where she was like, it was almost like she said, "You say things that I don't understand."
I have no idea what
She's
you
like,
were
"I don't know
saying.
what you're talking about."
That's what I mean, like, the whole confession, like, was pretty, like it was actually really beautiful because Joey can be so incredibly profound. She's also incredibly she
Righteous.
was yeah, well, yes, yes, and then also self-reflective, like, she looks so deep inside herself, so, like, a lot of the time, like, the way she kinda just said, like, "I just you're probably gonna figure out, that I'm so young and I don't know anything, because I don't." And it's just kinda like, "Yeah, girl," but at the same time, like, there's something there. Either way.
So back at the party, Henry decides to make this grand gesture and he climbs up in the rafters and he like won't come down until Jen admits that she's been avoiding him and she's embarrassed to be seen with him in public.
He's like yeah, he's mimicking the play.
The
There's like
play, yeah.
a where they're drunk and he's just like, "Just say it, yeah, just say it, say the thing," and then they do. It was, he's too much. He's too much.
Um, and she she plays along for a little bit, and then she's like, "Just get down here."
Yeah.
And he's like then he's stuck, and he's like, "Does anybody have a ladder?"
I love those moments where it's like they give you like the profound moment that's like so romantic. It's like the say anything gesture or whatever. And
Uh-huh.
then at the end, it's like, "Now just get."
Pacey and Andy have a nice moment where she, like, basically says that she knows that he's, capable of great things. Um, I was really thinking about you in this moment. I was like, "Does she feel like they're punching her in the stomach?"
No, this legitimately, because like, because doesn't she talk to Jack like right before this, kind of saying like gearing herself up to kind of like put a button into this finally for herself? Because like she kind of comes out. I think there was like a line where she's like, "Well, we're about to find out," and then she then walks out and starts talking to Pacey, saying like,
Uh,
same thing. And I could be mixing it up with a different point because the two episodes just blend into one mega episode. But yeah, I felt like the conversation was like a legitimate, like, we loved each other. It's, we can come, obviously, we can come back and coexist with each other. Like, we make a good team. Like, I always knew you could do this kind of thing. And that's okay. Like, if we want to just be friends, we can be friends
I
kind
like
of.
that they hugged. That was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I said, like, I think Pacey's kind of head is all around Joey right now, like in an obsessive way. And
Yeah.
Andy is finally trying to channel all of that energy into productive things versus like non-productive things like she was prior to this, which we were getting concerned for her. It
There were
this
Andy had a line, and I don't remember who it was to, if it was to Joey or to Pacey. It was probably to Pacey,
Mhm.
where she said the dynamic between him and Joey. Oh, no, it's in the next episode, because it was in the golf
I
cart.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah. It was in
Yeah,
the golf cart.
I mean, like, it kind of feels like there's a level of acceptance on both sides that, like, it worked for a particular reason,
Mhm.
but it can't anymore, and that's okay, and that maybe what worked is more their friendship than the romantic part of it, and I
Right.
think that's kinda what the conversation was an acknowledgement of. It's like, "Okay, we can still be in each other's lives and still care about each other, but just not in that romantic way, and that's okay, and we can both be okay with it." So, but there's still episodes to go, baby. We don't know how Andy's gonna really react when shit really goes on.
I also feel like when they were a couple in season 2, the
Mhm.
tone of the show was more angsty. Like,
Yeah.
everything was end of the world, like, "I love you," like, "We need to be together forever," like,
Mhm.
everything, and, like,
This is
dealing
it.
with her bipolar and, like, the fact that her
It was
brother
heavy.
was killed and, like, her mother's mental illness, like, it was just a lotta heavy stuff, and now I just feel, like, lighter.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I mean, like, this is kind of that's why I say it's the year of Jen. Jen's getting all positive stuff, right? So that's always nice.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be honest, I think you're dead on. So far this season, like, Jack is learning to accept himself and his sexuality. Andy's coming to terms with her own mental illness and what she can do to better her own life, be better, and all this stuff. Again, Paisley's like hopefully will find something in himself that he does it for himself, not for the sake of other girls, which is sad. Dawson has learned nothing. And Joey is also trying to find herself. It feels
Dawson's still trying to find out what his personality is.
right. He's still trying to get over his parents' divorce, even though they've already been divorced and they're both happy.
How dare they get along
Right. So
and
it's
send me mixed signals.
right. It's just like it is. I do agree with the fact that it is a lighter season overall because I
Mhm.
feel like people are finally getting their footing in like the character, probably, and then also like we've all decided not to torture them anymore for just a little while.
Yeah, right.
A little while.
Um, so Joey goes home after her date, and Dawson's, like, there, and she's kind of annoyed, like, she's like, "Figures you would be here, like, you found out I was on a date, and of course you had to show your face."
Like, that's what he does, though. He's done it before.
And he swears that's not it.
Mhm,
And she's like, "How'd you even know?" And he's like, "Pacey told me." So it's, like, the shift in the dynamics, like, Pacey knows things before Dawson know.
mhm. Yeah. Well,
Uh,
he asked her to. This is the
well,
thing.
true, yeah.
That right.
And they end up seeing the Northern Lights, which is what she was supposed to see with AJ. So I don't know if that was, like, a little, like, nugget for the Dawson and Joey fans that still existed.
Well, I was wondering if the writers were trying to say, like, "Hey, remember this? Remember it's still there. Remember Dawson's Creek.
Right,
Dawson's Creek, not Pacey Creek."
and we're like, "Yeah, yeah, where's Pacey?"
Yeah, and just like Joshua Jackson. "Sorry, James Vanderbeek, you can't act yourself out of a paper bag. Just James Vanderbeek."
I did notice, and I don't know if this was something that happened on streaming,
Mm.
that the credits were different. They were like a mix of clips mixed in with the new stuff that was shot on the dock, and I'm
Oh.
like, "Wait a minute." I'm like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Did this actually happen, or is this like a later season that they mixed up the
Oh,
credits?"
I don't pay attention because that song is awful.
Oh, I'm back to singing it now. I've accepted the theme song.
Sometimes it catches me, right?
Uh-huh.
I'll just like, and then, like and I'll be like, "No, not the song."
Um, was there anything else on this episode you wanted to mention?
No, I just think, poor Pacey, he's going through it. Again, like, just let the man have something nice for once.
So episode 14 is titled The Valentine's Day Massacre.
I love hearing the titles of these episodes after watching them because it's like, chef's kiss. Like, that's a great name for this episode.
We open up with Dawson trying to teach Joey how to drive a stick shift truck, and then we find that Pacey's just hanging out in the back of the truck.
I cannot, like, it just ugh. I wish she just was good at driving because it felt just so cliche. Mhm.
Right?
Girl at a drive a stick. Ugh.
I love Henry in this episode. He's so adorable. He's like giving pints of blood every other day just so he could afford to take Jen out to dinner for Valentine's Day and buy her a
It's
gift.
too much. That's the thing, like, this
He was
kind
like,
of
"I have a date with an angel." Like, he's just so cute.
believe me, I get it, like, it's, like, wonderful because he's incredibly cute and adorable. Again, the golden retriever of a boy, like, oh,
Yes.
like, he's a puppy, golden retriever puppy, just wants to please. That's all he cares about, and trust me, for every girl, a man who wants to please is what you want, okay? But, the thing is that our girl Jen, she ain't ready for this type of love. Like, this all-encompassing love, the love that just kinda, like, consumes you
Mhm.
all the way, and, like, if especially if you're someone who's so scared to go there and having the other person like, that's why it's like Henry keeps getting hurt because she's not, like I've been in relationships before where it's kinda like you feel things a little bit more intensely than the other, or it's not like they don't feel it intensely, it's just they don't know how to show it the same way
Okay.
you do. Like,
Mhm.
love languages aren't real, but, like, something kinda like it. Like, like me, would love to just smother people with my body, kill them with my body on their body, right?
Uh-huh.
Some people are not fans of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what this is, that, like, Jen's just it's like he's again
I'm a
a
hugger.
and she's a black cat, like he
I'm a hugger, and Greg isn't so much.
Right.
So I'll sometimes, like, I hug him every day, so, like, I'll come home, I'll hug him, and
Mhm.
sometimes well, now it's a joke because I've called it out, but,
Yeah.
like, I'll hug him, and he'll just be standing there without his arms up, like, he'll just be standing there receiving the hug, not hugging me back, and I'm like, "You can put your arms up," and then he's like, "Oh."
Now,
And
a
then
hug
he's gotten to the point where he counts to 10. He in his head, he goes, 1, 2, 3, like, so that it's a long enough hug to satisfy me.
that's what I'm saying, like, I had an ex that was, like, didn't like to hold hands,
Uh-huh.
and I had such I it was a problem point for me because it's like, why wouldn't you wanna hold my hand?
Yeah.
Like, but a lot of
Well, I
it
could
was
file with that. I'd be like, "Why are you embarrassed? Why didn't you want to
exactly, exactly.
see?"
It's
Who
like
you
about
what other girl don't you want to see me with
yeah,
you?
that or, like, cuddling on the couch, not a big cuddler, and
Uh-huh.
again, like, I am, like, a person that wants to meld my body with your body, like, so, like so you get what I mean? Like, I
Mhm.
feel like Henry is a body melder,
A body
and Jen
builder.
is a person who's like, "Can I please have 3 to 6 feet of personal space at all times?"
That's why Grams had to sit between them at the play.
Exactly, exactly. Like, Henry's too intense, and Jen's not ready for that type of intensity, but, like, still secretly still actually wants that level of intensity of love. That's why she keeps kinda, like, doing this push and pull.
Yeah.
And but it's torturing our poor golden retriever puppy boy. Like, he's just ugh.
I guess this is their first official date
Yeah, I guess
going
so.
out. So
Yeah.
she's nervous, but she's saying she's not, but her body language and the way she's acting says, "Yes, you are."
That whole thing with her and Graham was so
With the
funny. It
dresses,
was
she's like, "Red or black," and Grims is like, "Red for Valentine's Day," and so Jen's like, "Okay, black."
black. Right, and then, like, the whole necklace thing, she's just like, "Oh, I just put it," like, "No," and Graham's like, "No, a
You have to
bear
be chaste for the
bear
first date, and
please."
Jen's like, "Yes, 'cause chaste describes me."
That's me. Please. Oh
And
god.
she's like, "I'm not nervous. I've been on so many dates with so many guys, like, I'm not nervous, like, whatever, like, I've had so many first dates."
Oh, it's so cute. Again, like, Jen's also incredibly cute about this because, like, you could tell it's like that again, it's like also seeing that dog when the dog just wants to go somewhere, but it can't get itself to go there, you know what I mean? Like, they're just dying at the line like a line just waiting for something to cross over, you know? And, that's what I kept vibing off of because it's just like she obviously wants this. She just is so scared of being hurt that she just
I'm gonna assume they walked into town because Henry's supposed to be 14, and we've never seen Jen drive.
and she's from the city, so who knows if
Right.
she can actually drive. Um,
Um,
gosh.
so yeah, he shows up and he's totally looking like a vampire. He looks so pale because he's probably, like, lightheaded and, like, from all the blood he's given.
Well, as soon as they had that little vignette with the nurse, and he goes like, "I'm dating an angel," like lays it on thick to
He's like,
get
"Your angel could be waiting for you. You could just be stuck because somebody won't bend the rules and let him give blood."
you. I was like, "Yo," and this I knew immediately. I was like, "This boy's passing out."
Yeah.
Like, obviously, like, and this poor woman could lose her fucking job because she had a bleeding heart for a young man in love, you know? Oh, dude.
So he gives Jen a rose. She loves it, but she pricks her finger on the thorn. She says it's just a flesh wound. They go to the restaurant and he's out of it, and she's like, "I'm sorry, am I boring you?" Because he's, like, falling asleep.
I
I'm
think
just resting my eyes.
yeah, I think she says like, "Oh, well, you go ahead, you could just take a nap, no
Yeah,
problem."
put your head down on the table, and that's when he,
And
like, falls out.
he's like, "Oh, great, thanks." And then oh, that poor boy.
And then he just keeps saying, "I ruined it, I ruined it, like, poor thing.
I know, right? So I mean, like, it's, "Oh, honey. Oh, honey, mm, precious
So then he
baby."
gives her the gift as he's being, like, loaded into the ambulance, and it's a ring.
Yeah,
Um,
it's too small.
she said it's orange, and he said, "No, it's something red."
Yeah, it's like
Whatever.
Hungarian red or something like
Hungarian
that.
red, yeah. It doesn't fit, so then I'm like, "Well," I was like, "You could always put it on a chain and wear it around your neck," like, that's what I was thinking, like,
Well, she ends up calling it a pinky
I
ring.
think you're
Like, it's beautiful. I love it.
So
Oh,
she goes home, and Grams is like, "Oh, you're home early," and she's just like talking about how this is the worst date ever. And Graham's just like, "Who cares? Go out with him again." She's like, "You go on first dates that are bad for the story." Like, she's like, "It doesn't mean you don't wanna keep hanging out with the person." And I
yeah.
was like, "Okay." I like Graham's like this, but some dates are just bad and should be left.
Well, this was bad because he was trying so hard.
Yeah, I would've this was cute. I don't know
Yeah,
if I would've had the same well, I'm also not thinking or feeling the same way as Jen, but, like, I wouldn't have
yeah,
not gone out with him again.
absolutely. It's but, like, it's like a difference between someone really making an effort and it not working out versus someone who is not making an effort, like, at all
Mhm.
and barely tries to get to know you, and then it goes south.
Yeah,
Like, you kind of like that's kinda, I think, what maybe Graham's point was trying to make. It's like, well, you could obviously tell that he was putting absolutely every effort he could think of to make
yeah.
sure the date was perfect, and the fact that it kinda went south doesn't really mean, like, anything about him. It has everything to do with just, like, things don't work out.
So Grams kinda says, maybe after she explains everything that he did, she's like, "Maybe he's doing all these things because he thinks that's what you want."
Mm.
So then Jen's like, "Ah, crap. Now I gotta go see him."
Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously, like, he had this very deep preconceived notion of, like, what a perfect date would be like, and it's probably all kinds of societal BS, you know what I mean, that has what Jen actually would want. So again, this is and also the boy has not had a relationship. This is the first one. Like so Jen is having to teach this little baby, this precious little bundle of joy that's just been birthed, quite literally, um like the ropes of dating. It's like, well, this is how you supposed to communicate. How about you ask me like what my date would like to be, you
I thought
know?
it was in this episode, but it was in the last one, I didn't mention this.
Mhm.
They had a conversation where she was just like, "You literally say everything you're feeling and what's on your mind, don't you?" And,
Yeah.
like, she's like a child, and he's like, "Yeah," and she's like, "I never had that." He's like, "You do." He's like, "It's in you." He's like, "I can help bring it out in you." And she's like, "No, I don't think I ever had it." Because he's basically like, "I love you," which he has told her he loved her. That's when she broke it off the first time, and he said his heart was broken. Because she was like, "You don't love me, you don't know me."
Right. Well, she's not alone. That's the thing, like, he's just feeling his feelings so intensely because that's what 14-year-olds feel. Like,
Uh-huh,
it's all just, like, raw and, like, exposed nerve endings all the
yeah,
time. And Jen has had hers dulled manually by a lot of different things.
yeah,
And so I think, like, it's easy to look at Jen and go, like, "Oh, she's just being a party pooper, poo, poo, poo." But at the same time, like, you have to think about, like, Henry is just also being too much. He
yeah.
is
He is very intense.
right, like, he's laying it on, like, 700 layers thick, like, thick with 3 C's, like, it's just not just, regular old, like, "I'm in love with you." It's like, "I need my whole being to be yours," like, kind of love. And that can be scary, very scary, especially when you don't know the person.
In one he had a line in one of the episodes where he says, "We've been doing this for 5 months." And I'm
Mm.
like, "That's longer than Joey and Dawson were even dating."
Right? Right? Literally, and that's what I mean, like, it's like also teenage time is, like, super
That's
compressed,
most
like
of the school year.
yeah, like, it's just
Well,
literally
we're in February because it's Valentine's Day.
right. But, like, back in the day, like, if you were with someone for a couple like, a month, an actual whole month, that was a big deal. Like,
Right.
"Yo, you made it a month? Holy crap, that's the longest anyone's ever been with anyone ever." Like
You guys getting married?
right, exactly, like, if someone ever made it 6 months, again, like, "Oh, those are they're gonna be together for the rest of their lives." Like, you know? So, I get like, a part of me gets it. I just, wish Henry would check in with Jen a little bit more.
Yeah.
Instead of Jen feeling bad because Henry's has all these intense feelings that she's not quite reciprocating 100%, which I think is kind of unfair. Mm.
So she goes to see him in the hospital, and he's just, like, all about the Jello. So she sits
Aw.
with him, and she's like, "Oh, I think we're having our first date in the hospital, eating Jello." And then he starts to say anything, and she's like, "Don't talk about it. Don't think about
Yeah,
it. Just, like, let it be.
let
Just
it
let
work
it
out,
happen."
let it happen. It's a lot, yeah, it's a lot of work that Jen is taking on, in my opinion. Like, it's gonna be take a lot of effort on her part to kind of be, like, always mindful that, like, this kid has no idea what the fuck he's doing. Neither does she, but at least she has a little bit of a head start.
Yeah. Um, so that was the side story. I guess the main story is or part of the main story is, um, Andy invites an old friend from wherever they're from, Jack
Mhm.
and Andy, to come stay with them because her boyfriend just broke up with him. Turns
Uh-huh.
out she was also Jack's ex-girlfriend
Yeah.
and doesn't know that he's gay now. Because Andy's like, "That's not my business to tell, I'm not telling him."
Oh, she is the worst. She is not being a pretty good she has left poor Jack or Jackers down off. She has given him nothing. She gave him 0 help. She abandoned his ass so quickly.
So there's this big party going on in the woods behind the golf course, I guess,
Mhm.
um, that they all wanna go to, and this is, like I was a little bit annoyed at Joey because like, every time Dawson like, I was kind of on Dawson's side in this
Yeah,
episode
same.
because every time he does something that is, like takes him off the pedestal that she puts him on, she's like, "This isn't you. Why are you acting like this?" Like, she's just so judgmental, and I'm just like, "Shut up, Joey. You're
Well,
not
that's
his
the thing,
girlfriend.
like,
Let him live."
Dawson yeah, like, Dawson hasn't done anything. Like,
Yeah.
he literally hasn't done anything. He hasn't experienced anything. He doesn't go anywhere. He
Like, "Why are
doesn't
you smiling? That's fun for you?" That's
yeah,
not the Dawson I know. He
yeah.
wouldn't smile.
The yeah, like, that's what I mean, like, the whole nagginess of Joey in this whole episode and the previous one where she's just constantly, like, needling about, like, what she's expecting of these people, and
Mhm.
it's kind of like, "Girlfriend, you need your own, like, to let loose. You're too tightly wound. All of you are. You guys are just a little too tightly wound. You need to loosen up. Like, and actually have a legitimate fun. Like, legitimate fun where you're hanging out with your friends and you're just cutting loose."
There was a scene before the party, before they all went to the party, where, Pacey sees his brother sitting in the cop car and he's listening to music, and I
Mhm.
wondered if they switched this out and if it was, like, Celine Dion or, like, an actual, like, diva, because he's, like, rocking out and he's just like, "Ah," and he actually says, like, "Oh, she's such a diva," or whatever, and Pacey's like, "You don't know the amounts of gay jokes I am about to unload on you right now."
Yep. Like, it's like, the fact that he walked up on him and the music that was playing, it was just kinda like, "Oh my god." He's basically, like, tempting Pacey just to get gay joke after gay joke after gay joke after
Yeah.
gay joke. Like, that's just all he was asking for, but I
I
thought
think he
Pacey
got one in. I think he called him my butch officer
yeah.
brother or something like
See,
that.
I wanna hang out with my ultra butch cop brother, like,
Yeah.
I also thought it was pretty smooth I thought Pacey was pretty smooth because really what he wanted was to kinda, like, throw him off the scent a
Yeah.
little,
'Cause
so
yeah, so they heard about this party, and I guess the cops wanna break it up,
mhm.
and he's like, "No, I haven't heard anything about that." He's like, "But I heard about this rager on Witch Island."
Yeah,
So he's, like, trying to throw him the
yeah,
other direction,
exactly, like, the complete and total, like, misdirect.
which was also a nice little nod to that Witch Island episode.
Right. Also, like, if it's really actually haunted, he's
Yeah,
trying to get rid of his brother.
right. Um, so I can't remember the girl's name. The friend, the ex-girlfriend, Jack's ex-girlfriend. She
Like,
shows up.
something or something soon. Oh,
Um, they go to the golf course. Joey shows up, and they're like, "Oh, if isn't Little Miss what are they? Buzzkill?"
true
And she basically
story,
says that Pacey's the devil on his shoulder, and she's the angel on his other shoulder.
but it's totally the truth, though. She's just there to be like, to literally dump some water all over everything. Like,
She really is, because when she, like, refuses to take the entry shot, because everybody has to take a shot to get into the party,
yeah,
her and Andy just leave. They just, like, get
yeah,
in the golf cart and, like, are about
yeah,
to, like, drive off.
yeah. That's all the thing, it's like she just goes there just to make sure her judgment is cast upon everyone, and then yeah. Ugh.
But, they when they meet the ex-girlfriend, she, like, flat out says, "I'm emotionally fragile. I just broke up with my boyfriend because he's gay," and, like, the looks on Pacey and Dawson's face
Mhm.
when they're like, "Does she know?" Like, they're just like, "What? Not the what?"
That poor girl.
And
It's
Jack
fine.
knows that why they're making those noises because 'cause they're like, we'll be right back," and he's like because he knows that they're gonna, like, talk about it.
Yeah, of course.
He's like, "2 gay boyfriends?"
Well, like, Jack tries on when they're on their way to go, like, pick up or meet at the golf course, like, just
Uh-huh,
as a group, he tries to tell her in the car with Andy's driving,
uh-huh.
and she just goes like, what did he say? He's like, "Oh, funny thing is, actually," and then she goes and then she starts to cry,
Yeah.
and Jack's like, "What was wrong? What happened?" She's like, "That's, like, exactly what my ex-boyfriend said before he told me he was gay and broke up with me," and then, like, they went, "Well."
And here I am thinking, I'm like, "Is he cute though? Like, would he date Jack?"
Right?
'Cause
I
Jack
feel
needs a
like
boyfriend
Jack
real
should have
bad.
said that. Like, "Girl, you got his number?"
Sorry it didn't work out, but, like, do you think he'd be into me?
"Sorry, sorry that didn't work out for you, but can you hook a brother up?" Um, oh my god, yeah. That's just, that poor girl. She was great, though. I like
She
her.
was.
She was fun.
She had more personality than AJ.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So she's just trying to cut loose, have a good time. They're
Yeah.
all drinking. I think Pacey was doing, like, a keg stand. Um, Dawson decides to take charge and kiss this girl, but she has to throw up, so that kinda kills the mood, and he's like, "Why can't I just, like, be spontaneous? Why does the universe always have to step in?"
Yeah. There was, like, a whole little speech she gave him. Like, she kinda just tells him, like, "Listen, dude, like, don't ask for permission, just go for it." It's basically the gist
Pretty
of
much.
everything she was saying.
And then he goes for it just to throw up.
Yeah, hold that thought. And it's like, "Girl, I'm not gonna wanna kiss you after you puke."
Right. Um, so the golf cart conversation with Andy and Joey, this is what we were kind of alluding to earlier.
Yeah.
Um, Andy has a line where she says, "The way the dynamic between you is kinda how, like, it was between he and I before we started dating." So it's
Yeah.
like, love another little nugget.
Yeah, like, if you
Joey's
have
kinda
it out here,
like
this is where they're going. Um,
we're gonna have the ex-girlfriend say it.
right, literally. I mean, like, I didn't even sense, like, from Andy, like, any sort of tone of, like, anger.
Suspicion?
She kinda just was like almost like she was like, "Hey, Joey, have you have you peeped this? Have you checked this out?" Not necessarily like, "How dare he?" or like, "How dare you?" or anything like that. It was very much like a girlfriend telling her friend that someone might like her kinda way.
I don't know, I feel like nobody's hyper aware about what's going on.
Mm,
Um, because I almost feel like it's still kinda too soon. She might have been jealous if she really felt that way.
that's what I mean. Like, I don't know if I didn't hear a lot of jealousy in her
Yeah.
voice. It felt, like I said, more like a friend saying like, "Ooh, Joey, he might like you," kind of thing, not necessarily being like, "Yeah, that's my ex, back off."
Right,
Like, it felt very like girlfriendy, but I also didn't have like my eyes on it most of the time, so I didn't see
right.
her face when she said it. But to me, it sounded sincere. Like, Joey, you should keep your eye on this, you know. Because again, like unintentionally, like how people act, like how Jen is about Henry. It's kind of like they're just being themselves and like they don't want like they either don't know or do know and not ready for whatever feelings the other may have about
Right.
them. So, yeah.
So Doug ends up finding them in the cart and arrests them and finds the party and arrests everybody else, so they're in the drunk tank.
Yeah.
And this is when everybody kind of unleashes on each other in the jail. Um, Dawson and Joey do the thing that they do where they're but I was on this was when I was on Dawson's side because he's pretty much like saying like I can't even move without you having an opinion about
Yeah.
it. Like he's
Right.
like I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure things out and you're
Right.
like coming down on me.
Right. Like,
And then Pacey's just like, "I'm so sick of this, like, the 600 and whatever time of your guys' saga." Like, and that's
right.
coming from frustration, also that he likes her, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Can you get off this train so that I could be on the train with her?"
Right. Right. I think it was pure jealousy. I
Yeah.
think just having to be sitting in the jail cell and being, like, in such close proximity to, like, the BS what he considers BS
Mhm.
about their relationship, and, like, he just could not take it anymore, and if
And
he
look at all these fools in jail, and Jen's just at home. Like, she had a night well, her date was ruined, but she had just, like, a little nice night.
honest, in
End
comparison,
of the wholesome night.
a little bit, yeah, a little bit, even though he passed out, like,
Yeah.
he definitely I think it's definitely way more chill than being stuck in a drunk tank as
Yeah.
a teenager, for sure. I mean, like, I feel for Pacey in this moment. I feel like the writers were these 2 episodes dragging him through the mud. Like, make him watch Joey go back and forth with his best friend. Make him watch Joey go on a date, like, and be happy with a super intellectual that he can never live up to. Watch Joey be like the most annoying that she's ever been in any episode, like, so it's just kind of like confusing about like what he really feels or wants to do about anything, like, and it's just, yeah.
So Jack once again tries to tell his ex-girlfriend that he's gay, but she cuts him to the chase. She's like, "Oh my god, you're gay." And he's just like, "Yeah." And I'm just like, "Way to come out in jail." Like,
Right.
but like,
Oh my god.
um, yeah, so that was funny. Pacey ended up throwing up after he told everybody off. In the
Yeah,
everybody got bailed out except Pacey. Dad thinks it would be a good lesson for him to spend the night in jail.
of
I'm
course.
just like, poor Pacey.
Yeah. What?
Mitch is done with the bullshit. He's
Oh
like,
yeah.
"All right, you want to start acting like a kid? I guess I got to start acting like a parent."
Yeah.
He's like, "Your mother has decided to invest in a restaurant. You're gonna work there every chance, free moment that you have until you figure out your
Yep.
shit."
Yep.
And I saw the look on Dawson's face, and I was like, "Oh, do you have to have a job?" I mean, I know he works in the video store.
I was gonna say you already have a job, but it's probably obviously like 1 day a week type shit, and it's
Yeah.
like, "Come on, man." Well, like, that's the kind of thing is that, like, Dawson keeps, like, trying to, like, sidestep, like, him being bad by, like, using I guess, all the good that he has banked up leading up until this,
Mhm.
and it's kinda like, "Nah, bro. You don't get bailed out of jail. You don't literally break his boat, have
Yeah.
strippers dancing on his table, and get away with it. You just don't. Like,
Mhm.
no matter how cool the parent is. I mean, like, if Mitch that's the thing is, like, if Mitch was negligent, then you would get away with it, but he's not. He's
Yeah.
not a negligent parent, and he needs to step in. He would be irresponsible if he did it, or say something to him at least,
Yeah.
but,
So good. I'm glad
yeah,
that he's being punished.
yeah, me too. I think Dawson needs it because he's been a little mouthy. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. He's just been a little meh, 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 and you're like, dude, you better shut the F up.
Yeah,
Like,
well, these opinions about your parents' marriage, shut the fuck
yeah,
up.
like, my parents would have been like, it's none of your damn business.
Go to your room.
Yeah, or like go somewhere else, like
Yeah.
not here. Like, ridiculous.
Um, so Pacey, we have a scene with Pacey and Doug in the jail cell. And Doug is like, "So who is she?" He's
Right? Like,
because you only act like this when there's a girl.
I mean, like, I thought this was the most wholesome conversation they've ever had.
Yeah.
Just shy of him getting a gun pulled on him.
Right.
So, like, I thought to myself while I was listening to it, I was like, "Wow, they're actually having, like, a genuine conversation." Well, or Doug is actually helping his brother for fucking once.
Pacey's just like, "This girl, she has an opinion about everything." And I'm like, "You're not wrong." He's like, "But it's coming from a good place." And Doug's just like, "You love her. You," or I don't think he said love, but he's like, "You really like her." He's like, "You need to tell her how you feel."
Mhm.
And
Agreed.
Pacey's just kinda like, "Thanks." And I thought, I was like, "Well, why don't you just let your brother out of jail? Like, your dad doesn't need to know."
Like, who cares? Just, like, don't go home.
Yeah.
Don't stay here, but don't
I
go
feel
home.
like it was casually mentioned in some episode about Pacey moving in with Doug because it's getting overcrowded at the house.
Mm.
So just stay at Doug's place, like,
Yeah,
sleep on the
literally,
couch.
absolutely.
That was a nice sweet scene, though. I was
Yeah.
happy for that moment.
Yeah, it kind of made me, like, have a little faith in Doug. Like, maybe they can redeem him a little bit. He was a little meatheady, like,
Yeah.
leading up to this point, so because Pacey needs someone. That's the whole thing, is that you
These little
forget.
moments I didn't remember, so I'm just like, I'm, like, eating them up. I'm just like, "Oh my god."
But, like, at the same time, like, keep thinking about, like, Pacey's home life is completely messed up. Like,
Yeah.
it's horrific. He has no one showing up at his place. He's got no one showing up for him, and they leave him in fucking prison. Like,
Oh,
it's
he had a
just
line about the play. He said none of the widows showed up when
yeah,
he was at the bar
exactly,
with
right.
Jen. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, like, we have all of these, like, moments where we get reminded about how little, like, his actual, like, nuclear family, like, the ones that are related to him, like, really give
Show up for him.
show
Yeah.
up for him. He has no his family his friends are his family, like, legitimate. So it's, like, was really heartwarming to see that his brother actually, like, step up to the plate and give him, like, some semblance of, like, good advice, saying, like, "You need to tell this woman, like, this girl, how you feel about her. Like, you just have to. Like,
Mhm.
get it out. Make it known."
So I
And
didn't remember that, and I thought it was a sweet moment, and but once I watched it, I was kinda like, I remember the feeling I had because I was having it again, like, how I would have felt when I watched it the first time.
mhm,
'Cause, like, when he goes to Joey's, I was just like, I didn't know what was gonna happen. I was like, "What is he gonna say? What is he not gonna say?" I was like, "I know we're mid-season, so we can't say everything." I was like, it felt like I was watching it for the first time because I didn't remember what was gonna happen.
oh, that must have been nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
'cause
she answers the door in her pajamas, and he apologizes for the way that he spoke to her in the jail cell.
mhm,
Um, and, like, I knew he wasn't gonna say anything because it's just a typical trope of, like, I have to tell you something and, like, "Oh, there's one more thing," but then you don't say the actual thing. But I
yeah,
was, like, on the edge of my seat. I was just like, like,
right,
I had butterflies, like
right. Well, he chickened out.
yeah.
That's really what it came down to. It's like he got to the dance, like, he literally stood right there, was ready to say it, and then decided against it last second.
I
'Cause
feel like Joey caught a vibe there, though. Because I feel like she had a look on her face like, "Is
well,
this guy
Andy
really
planted the
it?"
seed. That's what I'm saying. All it takes is one person to plant the seed, and Andy planted the seed. She made it kind of like an observation, knowingly or unknowingly, about how they were acting. And I'm hoping she did it knowingly because it feels like it was knowingly. The way she sounded like she said it anyway. But we'll see. Who knows? She could unknowingly have planted a seed into Joey's mind about Pacey and then hate it later. I don't know.
She had a line where she was like, when it comes to Dawson, she knows that he can kinda pull himself back from the bad things.
Mhm.
She's like, and she said with you, she's like, "I feel like you'll just, like, fall into it and let everything burn to the ground," pretty much. She didn't say that, but that's pretty much what she implied.
He was
So
worried.
he's just like, "So, like, you're looking out for me?" And she's, like, read between the barbs, like like,
Mhm.
read in between,
Yeah,
like, the
exactly.
dancer.
Exactly.
And so he's kind of, I think that's when he thought he might tell her because he's like, "Oh, she actually cares
Mhm.
what happens to me?" But then he ends up just telling her that he's gonna teach her how to drive the stick. So I was like, "Oh, he taught her how to drive."
So close. So close. But of course, like, it was a tease. It was a
Yeah.
literal tease. The writers were like, "Oh, we're just gonna take take 'em right to the edge, and then we're gonna pull back, because
Yep.
that's what we do." Mm.
A tease I wasn't expecting, but I loved
Mm.
it.
I think it'll be way worth it. I feel like if they drag this out longer and longer and longer, it'll only be better the best when by the time they do if they do come together, it'll be amazing. Because, like, again, like, you watching Pacey is a perfect boyfriend. He literally is. He will be there for you. He's emotionally available to you. He's emotionally intelligent. Like, I mean, like, just by looking at the way he was with Andy, like, when he loves someone, it is all in, 110%, right? And I think Joey needs someone that's, like, completely all in and would like, it's like he picks up without being asked to pick up kind of thing. Like, he's
Yes,
right.
Pacey's fatal flaw is that he, um, doesn't think he's good enough.
Mhm. And then does
So,
overcompensates, right?
when things don't go his way, he's just kinda, like, figures and he leans into that, and he kinda just, like, self-destructs pretty
Mhm.
much.
Yeah.
Um, but other than that, he's a great guy.
Like that fear of, like, ultimate rejection at the
Mhm,
end or someone not being good enough is, like, he overcompensates. So he, like, enforces, like, all the good stuff he knows that, like, makes it a good relationship. So he, like, double, triples down on all that behavior and then will be everything and anything to someone if they want him to be, which again could be kind of you lose yourself in a sense to it. And especially when you're so deep. He did it with Tamar, he did it with Andy. Like he's 110% in if you give him like the time of day. So he's a good
alright.
boy.
Alright, well, we're over the halfway point
Oh my
by
god.
3 ep yeah, we have 9 episodes left.
Oh my god.
Do you have any predictions?
I don't know. A part of me doesn't want them to put Joey and Pacey together too fast. I really want to ride this out. I want to see like how long it takes for Joey to naturally figure out what's going on, like with
Okay.
Pacey, how he feels. That's what I want. I Is that what they're gonna do? Don't know because like if they do like lead it all the way up to the finale and then basically go ahead and just kind of leave it to then
Mhm.
that would kind of be just like how they did it with Dawson's like too. It's kind of like oh season 1 and
Oh, it
you know
ended with the kiss and then
exactly.
re
I don't want to repeat, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah, I want it to linger. Mm,
Well, they kinda have been doing it all season, we just weren't completely aware of it until
I don't
now.
know. I predicted it in
You did
episode.
predict it, and I guess I was just blind because back then, I guess I was just like, "No, they said Dawson and Joey are the couple, they're no and wait, there's other options?"
Well, I immediately was like, as soon as Dawson said the fatal words of "Will you take care of Joey for me, Pacey?" I'm like, "Oop, it's over.
Uh,
Pacey's back.
yeah.
It's over. It's considered done, so episode 1, baby." But like, I still think it could be an amazing over episode arc.
Mhm.
Because, like, ultimately, once like, it could be just again, it's like one of those moments where it's like, Pacey is in love with her, in love with her, in love with her, and then he finally decides to move on because she just will never see him like that, right?
Yeah,
And that's when she goes then she starts to make the turn where she realizes who he is, and then she's in love with him, in love with him, in love with him, in love with him, and then they
right.
finally come together. That is where it's, like, the most satisfying. It's such a
Which
low,
we
slow
might
burn.
yeah, because we kind of the first part of the season was kind of them hanging out a lot, kind
Mhm.
of establishing this new dynamic in their friendship,
Yeah,
um, and now we're kind of seeing the unrequited love, like him having feelings for her, and
right,
then, like you just said, I think now we have to deal with once she knows how he feels, how does she process this, and
right,
how does she feel in return
right,
before we have the epic, let's
right. I mean, it would
kiss.
be even better it would be even better if they, like, even confront his feelings and she rebuffs him. If
Uh-huh,
she goes like, "No, I really think we should be friends, like, I don't see you like that," and then in that can like, when he finally, like, lets it go and then they're still friends, and then because the lingering idea of what could be,
mhm,
like, it changes how she sees him over time. That's
right,
why I think, like, that but you need, like, another season of that happening.
right.
Kind of will she and then she has to decide if she wants to confess after rejecting him the first time.
You don't think 9 episodes is enough? No, 'cause that's what we have left this season.
Oh, like, not for me. I feel like, it has to go lower and slower. Like, it kind of, like, um just because I think it's just so much more satisfying finally when, like, when she finally has the balls enough to confess because I think, like, Joey should, like,
Mhm. Okay.
just the way the dynamics are going, but, again, I don't know if that's what they're gonna do. They could definitely, like, just cut kinda compress that into 9 episodes, like
Sometimes I wonder if you have seen the show because sometimes you're so dead on certain things, and I'm just like, "How does she know that?"
you know what it is? It's only because I watch so many romance dramas, and I've
Uh,
read my fair share of, like, romance webtoons and stuff, and the tropes, they always kind of, like, lean out the same way. I love this shit. That like, sometimes it's like enemies to friends to lovers is one of my favorite, like, plot lines, but it takes forever to get there. Like,
Yeah,
it's so long. And also, there's a great trope that a lot of, like, romance animes do where it's the the geeky or not socially accepted character that
mhm,
is just either male or female, and, like, the popular version basically, they're complete and total opposite, like a yin and yang. They kind of like fall fatedly fall in love with each other, and it's
okay,
very slow because the one person is so incredibly like tortured and like they long for them to open up and like be accepting of love. It's kind of how the Jen and Henry Lawrence storyline is going on. She's like
okay.
this black cat that no one's allowed to touch, and he is this dumb puppy dog that doesn't know any better and goes and tries to touch the kitty cat.
I don't remember anything about their relationship. My memory of them is that, like, I remember, like, up to the part where she broke his heart,
And that's
but then
it.
I thought they got together and then they were just together all season. Like, I don't remember their relationship at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, the way things are going, it seems like they will be, but in real like, if it was a real life scenario, I feel like Jen would be tired. Because again, it's like she's gonna be teaching and guiding him along this relationship, so there has to be a lot of acceptance of, like, dumb things he's gonna say and or do
There's also,
across
like, on her side, like, this fear of getting hurt because he is 14. She knows that hormones are racing and feelings are fleeting, so she's probably like, "Do I really wanna move forward with this person that has no experience only to get my heart broken to find out that I'm not really what they want?"
right, because they
Like,
grow
do I
up.
really wanna be their test girlfriend? Like
Right, I yes. 100%, and I think it's a valid concern. That's
Yeah,
kind of why I think Henry had a right to be upset, but he didn't have a right to drag her. You know what I mean? Like, it's always kind of like, sure, you are entitled to your feelings, but your feelings get to a limit and then, like, goes no further, you
right,
know? Like, either deal with them and move on or legitimately stop talking to the individual and then still have to deal with the problems. You're responsible for your own feelings. It's kind of
yeah.
what it comes down to. Like what happens to you is what happens to you, but how you react to it is always up to you.
Alright. Do you have anything else to add on these episodes?
No, I don't know what's gonna happen. I really don't. We'll see.
I don't either. This is kind of like a blind spot for me in the season.
Be on this side of the fence. Come over here. It is great. It is great over here.
I mean, I'm sure as I'm watching it, I'm like, "Oh, this is this
Oh
episode."
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Greg
you'll have
was with My So-Called Life. "Oh, yeah, I saw
it'll flash yeah, everything will flash forward, it's like, "Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember. This happened."
Alright, well, thank you for joining us for another edition of Dawson's Creek. As always, you can find us on all the socials and Patreon at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great night. Bye.